This question examines input controls in an accounting information system, AIS, which are designed to ensure that data entered into the system is accurate, complete, and valid. Effective input controls reduce processing errors and improve the reliability of financial information used for decision-making. The question specifically emphasizes situations where it is crucial that data be entered correctly, indicating that the control should verify the accuracy of the actual data entry process rather than simply check whether values fall within acceptable ranges or appear reasonable. Students should distinguish between different types of input validation techniques. Some controls evaluate the logic or limits of data, while others directly confirm that the information entered matches the original source document. The most effective control for ensuring accurate data entry is one that independently verifies the keystrokes made by the operator.
A. Key verification.
Correct. Key verification requires data to be entered twice, often by separate operators or through a verification process, and compares both entries. Any mismatch indicates an input error, making it one of the strongest controls for ensuring accurate data entry to be.
Compatibility tests. Incorrect.
These tests verify that related data items are logically consistent but do not confirm accurate keyboard entry. C.
Limit checks. Incorrect.
Limit checks determine whether data falls within predetermined boundaries but cannot detect all input errors. D.
Reasonableness tests. Incorrect.
Reasonableness tests assess whether data appears logical or plausible but do not guarantee that the original data was entered correctly.
Correct answer, A. Key verification.
This question tests knowledge of systems documentation techniques used in accounting information systems, AIS. The scenario describes the movement of shipping documents and related information through different departments, from the shipping department to data entry operators, verification clerks, and finally to the company's mainframe system. The objective is to identify the documentation tool that best illustrates how documents and information flow between people, departments, and processing activities. Students should distinguish among common documentation methods. A program flowchart explains the logic of a computer program, a decision table summarizes complex decision rules, and a Gantt chart schedules project activities over time. In contrast, a document flowchart visually traces the movement of documents and data throughout an organization, making it the most appropriate tool for understanding operational workflows and internal controls.
A. Program flowchart. Incorrect.
A program flowchart illustrates the logical sequence of instructions within a computer program rather than document movement between departments. B.
Decision table. Incorrect.
A decision table organizes decision rules and conditions but does not show the flow of documents or information. C.
Document flowchart. Correct.
A document flowchart graphically displays the movement of documents and information through departments, processes, and filing locations, making it ideal for analyzing the activities described in the question. D.
Gantt chart. Incorrect.
A Gantt chart is a project management tool used to display schedules and task timing rather than document processing.
Correct answer, C. Document flowchart.
This question tests understanding of application controls in an accounting information system, AIS, specifically processing controls. Application controls are commonly classified into input controls, processing controls, and output controls. Input controls ensure that data entered into the system is valid and accurate before processing. Processing controls verify that transactions are processed completely and correctly during system execution. Output controls ensure that processed information is distributed accurately and securely. To answer this question, students must identify which option monitors or documents the processing of transactions rather than validating input data or managing system resources. Understanding the purpose of each control type is essential for evaluating the reliability of computerized accounting systems and preventing errors or unauthorized transactions.
A. Validity check. Incorrect.
A validity check is an input control that verifies whether entered data conforms to predefined codes or acceptable values before processing begins. B.
Transaction log. Correct.
A transaction log is a processing control that records transactions processed by the system, creating an audit trail that helps verify completeness, identify processing errors, and support recovery if processing problems occurred. C.
Spooling. Incorrect.
Spooling, simultaneous peripheral operations online, is an operating system technique for managing input-output devices and is not an accounting processing control. D.
Check digit. Incorrect.
A check digit is an input validation control used to detect data entry errors in identification numbers, such as customer or inventory codes.
Correct answer, B. Transaction log.
This question examines application controls in an online accounting information system, focusing on authorization controls. When a user initiates an online transaction, the system should verify not only the user's identity but also whether the user has permission to execute that specific transaction. In practice, information systems distinguish between authentication, confirming who the user is, and authorization, confirming what the user is allowed to do. A control that checks whether a transaction is consistent with the user's assigned responsibilities or access rights helps prevent unauthorized activities and supports segregation of duties. Therefore, students should identify the control that verifies the compatibility between the user's authority and the requested transaction, rather than one that merely identifies the user or validates input data.
A. Password. Incorrect.
A password authenticates the identity of the user but does not necessarily determine whether the user is authorized to perform a specific transaction. B. Challenge/response system.
Incorrect.
A challenge/response system strengthens user authentication by requiring additional verification but focuses on identity rather than transaction authorization. C. Compatibility check.
Correct.
A compatibility check compares the requested transaction with the user's assigned authority, job responsibilities, or access privileges. It verifies that the transaction is compatible with the user's authorization level, making it the most appropriate control for executing a particular online transaction. D.
Closed-loop verification. Incorrect.
Closed-loop verification confirms that entered data matches existing master file information but does not verify user authorization.
Correct answer, C.
Compatibility check. This question tests knowledge of access controls in information systems, an important component of internal control and information security. Organizations must protect computer programs and databases from unauthorized access to preserve the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. Effective logical access controls ensure that only approved users can access system resources based on their assigned responsibilities. The question asks for the most appropriate technique to restrict access to authorized personnel. Students should distinguish between physical security controls, such as badges or electronic detectors, awareness controls, such as training, and logical access controls, such as user accounts and authentication mechanisms. Since the objective is to control access to computer programs and databases, the best solution is one that uniquely identifies each user and enables the system to grant or deny access based on authorization privileges.
A. Conduct intrusion prevention training. Incorrect.
Training improves employee awareness of security risks but does not directly restrict system access. B. Provide color-coded employee identification badges.
Incorrect.
Badges help control physical access to facilities but do not control access to computer programs or databases. C. Deploy electronic detectors.
Incorrect.
Electronic detectors help protect physical premises from unauthorized entry but are not logical access controls for information systems. D. Develop unique account numbers for each user.
Correct.
Unique user accounts enable the system to identify individual users, apply authentication procedures, assign specific access rights, and maintain audit trails, making them the most effective method for restricting access to authorized personnel. Correct answer, D. Develop unique account numbers for each user.